All is well. All is well. All is wonderful.
Good.
I don't know why I was trying to join on Google Meets. Like, I was like, no one's gonna let you in. You may want to call. Okay. All right. I want to respect everyone's time. Do we have quorum? I'm sorry, I missed who I was on the call.
No, I think we're all good. I think everybody's here, if I'm correct.
I don't think Yvonne Berry Johnson's here. And
Yvonne, right?
Yvonne.
No, I'm here.
Oh, she's here? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I said I was here. You guys didn't hear me.
Yeah, Yvonne, actually, I had a question. Do you think that you would be, if you were to be in the position in which the teachers are now, do you think that you would be able to control your classroom?
Are you guys ready to begin?
Well, you know, I haven't been a teacher. You know that, right?
I know, but I mean, with what the teachers have to go through now, do you think that you, if you were in their situation currently, do you think you'd be able to actually virtually control your classroom?
We can begin the meeting.
I'll put it to you this way. My husband was a teacher, and he retired in March.
Is it not connected?
And he feels like Linda does. He's glad he's retired, so he wouldn't want to have to go through it. So I'm going to echo his feeling because he has the experience and I don't. I think they're very challenged.
I would think it'd be very challenging as well.
Are we ready to start?
Are we ready to start?
Yes.
Go for it.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's 5:06. The Library District Board of Trustees welcomes each of you to its virtual meeting. Madam City Clerk, are we in compliance?
Yes, we are, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. And we have the verification. And if I can have a pledge of allegiance. Let me see. Who would like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
We can start it.
I know there's a volunteer.
I will.
Thank you so much.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. And it's a public forum. Oh, let me increase that. I shouldn't read it. Sorry. This is the first of two portions of the meeting devoted to the public. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. After recognition by the Library Board Chairman or woman, please state your name and address for the record. In consideration of other citizens, we ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes and that repetition be avoided.
We have no
Do
written.
you have anyone?
No, we have no written requests to speak, and we have no callers on the line, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll give it over to Director Lewis.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair. Apologize if I'm a little muffled. I got my faithful mask on, but I'll try to speak clearly. First item on the agenda, approve Library District Board of Trustees regular meeting agenda of September 22nd, 2020 for possible action.
May I have a motion to approve, please?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. This is Trustee Esparza.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, got you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Excellent. Moving on to consent agenda. Approve Library District Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes of July 28th, 2020 for possible action.
All right. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
And I'm sorry, and if you can give your name when you motion so we can capture it.
Sure. Trustee Barry Johnson, I motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Trustee Lockhart, I second the motion.
Thank you, Trustee Lockhart. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Excellent. Moving on to business, number 3 on the agenda, ratify Library Services and Technology Act grant application in the amount of $21,981 for the Federal 2020 CARES Act Grant and Aid Award for possible action. This is a grant that we applied for through the State Library. It is actually funding through the Institute of Museum and Library Services, the Library Services Technology Act grant. And it's money that was set aside specifically to help with COVID actions so that we could increase digital access, reach into the community for devices to help us reach the many students that weren't able to come into the library and to use the services. So we evaluated the areas that we were immediately lacking and, you know, within the price range that we were looking for. So we are using this grant for 2 specific purposes. The first purpose is to extend the Wi-Fi coverage at the Alexander and Aliante branches, and that will we will be setting up, extending off of the current Wi-Fi service that we have within the building. We're going to be extending that service out to cover the full parking lot area of each of the branches, and we have enough funding through the process, and the way we worked with our IT department to save a lot of funding to extend the Wi-Fi. Originally, we were looking at building like an extension pole outside of the library, running wiring to it, and reaching it that way, which would have taken up pretty much the whole grant funding. But with this, we're able to actually put devices just directly on the outside of the building, connect into our current Wi-Fi, and we were able to buy, we're purchasing 2 full-service extenders, which not only gives us more coverage, but it also builds in redundancy. So if one of those systems goes down, patrons will still be able to have access outside. So this will be beneficial not only to extend the Wi-Fi and allow people to use that service after hours and on weekends, but it's also going to be safer, especially as COVID is going on, because right now what's happening is we find that people are getting very close to the library and sometimes getting, bunching up towards the entrance so they can access our Wi-Fi. So this is going to help in both those accounts. With the savings that we had working with IT and going the route that we're going with the Wi-Fi extension, we were actually able to purchase contracts for 62 hotspot devices through T-Mobile, and that will provide a year's worth of service. So we're getting those online right now. We're hoping to have everything up and running in October, and families will be able to check out the hotspots. They'll be able to check them out for 3 weeks at a time, and during that 3 weeks, they will have unlimited 4G service in the household to use for the Wi-Fi period, and then they can put requests on additional items. So we're in the process right now of finalizing our deal with T-Mobile. The IT is working on it, and like I said, the goal is to have this up and running in October, hopefully at the beginning of October, and then for the hotspots, we'll have at least a year. We're going to use that time to evaluate. We know there's a high demand to see on there, and we may likely continue that hotspot service after the grant funding ends through our collection development budget. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the grant?
Director Lewis, Lewis, how many hotspots did you say the library would get?
62.
65?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
62.
Oh, great. Okay.
Director Lewis, just one one question. I know when I visited the library, did we ever find out if the Wi-Fi extended to the park, or does Parks and Rec handle that portion at the library?
Parks and Rec handles that portion. I believe I haven't had confirmation officially if they have it at that small park, but
Yes.
with these extenders, they are pretty powerful extenders, so they should be able to get in there, but they will be facing out specifically to the parking lot. But I know at the Alexander Library, I'm pretty sure they have Wi-Fi in all of the parks, but I didn't get confirmation specifically on the one next to the Alexander Library.
Okay. I guess I could have went out there and tested it that day.
That's right. But I will check back with Cass Palmer, the Director of Parks and Rec, and follow up, and I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions on item number 3? Hearing none, I would like to call for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion, Trustee Jones.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second Trustee Barry Johnson.
Thank you so much. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries.
Excellent. Thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda, update on library services. This is just an update. It doesn't require a vote. But since the libraries continue to be closed to the public, and the reality is we don't know for sure when we will be reopening in library services. So, but I did want to, keep you updated. We are doing a lot. Our library staff is continuing to work very hard for the community, even with our doors not allowing people into the public. So I just wanted to give you an update on some of the projects that we've been working on. And I will preface this with our library staff is kind of right now broken into 2 separate groups. So we have, in one group, we have our librarians, our library assistants 2s and 3s that work at the reference desk, and they're working on specific projects, library projects that they're able to continue to do digitally, and I'll get to those in a little bit. And then we also have another group, and this group is our library assistant 1s, and they would be the staff that you would meet when you first enter the library. They check out the books, they check in the books, they pay. That's where people pay their fines at the front desk. So because of the nature of those 2 specific kind of fields that we have in the library, we were able to keep on with somewhat of a regular service and switching in formats with our librarians and 2s and 3s. But we did have some, difficulty at first trying to figure out how we could keep our library assistant 1s, our frontline staff, working and benefiting the community when their whole purpose is public service and we don't have public coming into the library. So one of the first things they were working on in the very beginning, I believe we had talked about this at our last meeting, is we started out with them working at the 3 Square Food Bank. They were helping distribute food. From there, we moved into business outreach. So there was a lot of money, the Paycheck Protection Program, different resources from the federal government. So we were calling, our staff was actually calling local businesses. We worked with the Business Licensing Department, created lists, and we were contacting those businesses to make sure that they were aware that the money was there, and also kind of express some haste for them to apply because the money went very, very quickly. So we got a lot of great feedback from that. That was a great access for the community. From there, we moved on. We worked with Councilman Black, who is the chair of the Southern Nevada Health District Board, and we had the staff members actually go through training and work with the Southern Nevada Health District on contact tracing. So they were working in that area, working directly with the health district. And then at some point they came back to the library, and about the time that we received CARES Act dollars from the county, and there is the city's still trying to get the full amount from the state, but the county was generous in loaning us about half of the money that the city should be receiving, and we needed to distribute that to the community. So we worked with the grants department here at the city, Rich Easter, who's our grants coordinator, and we trained our staff. We started out contacting businesses because we had businesses loans available, and businesses had to meet specific guidelines and fall within the grant. So we were contacting the businesses, taking the grants as they came in, filling application, and working with our finance department to make sure that those businesses were receiving the funds. That is still going on right now. It's starting to wind down a little bit, but as we move into the next phase, as the business grants started to slow down, we're really concentrated on the county has been doing a housing assistance program with their CARES Act dollars. And so the problem that they're running into is the need is so great for that, and the list is so good that they've been working with many nonprofits, they've been working with their staff, and there's a huge backlog for applying for those the housing assistance. So what we're doing is our staff right now is finishing up training with the county, and the library staff, most that were working on the business grants, we're now going to be focusing specifically on receiving the assistance requests for North Las Vegas residents, and so that we can make sure that our residents are getting that housing assistance out as quickly as possible. So they'll be working full-time on that. The funding for the CARES Act has to be spent by the end of December. So this is a high priority for us. We're going full bore on it, and we want to make sure that all of that money that's out there to help the public is getting out to help the public. So those are the areas that our library assistants, the frontline staff, they're working on that full-time. Our librarians and assistant 2s and 3s, they've been working on digital programs. We've been putting story times on our Facebook page. We did our summer reading program, was all digital that we ran this year. We worked on getting special programs through grant funding to pay for performers to do online programs. We even started a bilingual story time that we're doing. It's the first story time that we've done bilingual. We have that on our Facebook page as well. We also are moving into, we've worked with the city so that we can add our programs on the city's YouTube page. And so we have longer programs that we're actually doing the videos and putting on our YouTube page. And we have STEAM programming, demonstrations, show how to. We have a really fun young adult program called Guess the Book. So if you get a chance, if you go to, you can access it through the cityofnorthlasvegas.com website, and go to the YouTube page, and you'll see our library programming there, and also on our Facebook page, we have those programs as well. During this whole process, we started fairly quickly doing curbside pickup. That is going fairly well, where patrons can actually order books from other libraries. Our libraries, Las Vegas, Clark County, they can call us, they can order them online. We notify them when they're ready, and they can come to the library, and we actually take the books out and drop them off in their car. So they open their trunks. It's completely non-contact service. So we have, we also have been doing a little bit of a grab-and-go craft. So families that with younger children and stuff, they want to have a craft. We put it together in a bag and all the craft materials and everything, and they can come and have the grab-and-go craft. Through that, we also really expanded our e-card program. So we have digital library cards. People can call in or actually email us at the library We issue them a card number, and that gives them access to all of our digital offerings online. So even if they've never had a card, or they're obviously not able to get in and receive a card with their photo ID, or even with people we don't ask in that regard, if somebody has fines on their cards where their card is expired or anything like that, we still allow them to get access to the e-card, so everybody can have access to those services. And we have, with that, we're looking at digital services that we continue to offer. We're right now in talks with Hoopla, and that's a digital service that has movies, TV shows, comics, music. They do have ebooks and audiobooks, but we're not, since we have our Overdrive collection that gives us a very, very large selection of ebooks and audiobooks, we're not moving forward with that, but we are moving forward with the movies, TV shows, comics, books, and music. And how this works is we set aside a certain amount of funding, and people can access those items. There is no waiting list. They're able to get that, and we do get charged per use. So whenever somebody checks something out, they will take that out of the money that we have reserved. And because of that system, which could get very costly, but we put kind of tight restraints on it to start out to see how it goes. We are limiting 4 checkouts per month on per card, and we're limiting them access to checkouts that are $2 or less. So there are more expensive checkouts, which would be like the brand new movies and other things like that. So we're doing that. We're going to be monitoring it very closely to see what the activity is on it, what the cost is looking at, and then in a couple months, and we can change that if we need to. We can add more checkouts per month, or we can adjust as we see as needed. And so the last thing I kind of want to talk about is we also have been working with the city. While the schools have been closed, the city worked to put together what they call the SNUMA, which is Southern Nevada Micro Academy. And they have students, there's 2 realms, basically students that are enrolled in the Clark County School District. They can participate in one of the programs, and they can come in during the day. There's food provided. They have a guide that's working with them and will help them with the assignments as they're doing the online CCSD program. The other program is the actual academy, and that's where it's for students who are not enrolled in the school district, more like homeschool students. They can still come in, they get a structured program, and the food is provided. They have activities throughout the day, and it's more of a guided kind of structured lesson plan program. So those are a lot of the programs. We're not actually teaching in that program. We are allowing, right now we have space, they're using space at the Alexander Library. And as the program, if the interest grows and it expands, we're prepared to have students coming to the Aliante Library as well. And the very last thing we're working on, we're not doing this right now, but it's something that we are looking at, we will be doing this year, is we're working with, we have some grant funds available to us through the state library, and these are smaller grants. But we are working with the Parks and Recreation Department, and we're going to be doing a walking book display at the Nature Discovery Park. And so we will have, as you're walking around the lake on the walking path, we'll have a book that will be separated pages, and so as people are walking and students, they can actually read the book as they're walking around the park. So we're working out the details on that, and that will be coming probably in the next few months. So I know it's a lot, but I just wanted to give you an overview of a lot of the programs that we continue to work on. Just know we're constantly evaluating the situation. We're very much looking forward to opening our branches when we can, and we're working with the city, who's monitoring the governor's office, to make sure that when we are ready to safely open for the public and for our staff, we're excited to do so. Does anybody have any questions on or comments on any of the programs or any things I covered?
This is Trustee Esparza. I do have a question. I know that there's some other libraries that are currently open that allows the public to come in and check out books and then leave. They obviously can't linger around. Is there any reason why North Las Vegas libraries are not able to do so?
Yes, because they have probably about 30 to 40 staff members per branch at those locations, and we have about 5 to 8. So we do not have enough staff to monitor, because when people are allowed to come in, we would be needing staff to take temperatures. We need staff to monitor the computer stations. We need staff to make sure that people are social distancing. And on top of that, those libraries are still doing curbside service and checking in books and all those stuff. So literally it is it's just a matter of resources. Las Vegas, Clark County libraries, with their $65 million budget, their staffing they have the staffing and the cleaning supplies and all of the resources to be able to handle that, and they've made that decision. Likewise, along with us, the Henderson Library District is a similar size to ours. They are still only doing curbside service as well. And Boulder City is still, they have a little bit in Boulder City. They have a different population, but for the most part, Boulder City is mainly closed except for curbside and some other small services also.
Okay, that answers my question.
This is Linda Powers. Have some of the programs impacted the students at Silver Mesa?
Have our programs impacted Silver Mesa?
Yeah.
Well, Silver Mesa is right now, that's kind of their main focus a lot in Silver Mesa is they're the kind of the main hub for the Southern Nevada Micro Academy. So they have that's where most of the academy is running out of right now. That's really taken a lot of their site there. But I do believe they have, they are open for a lot of activities at the recreation centers, or at least at Silver Mesa. But I honestly am not sure exactly how much of that. As far as the library goes, we do have, and right before this happened, we actually had, right before the COVID hit, we actually had a $75,000 grant that was all but approved through the state library that was going to be directly working with the rec centers and the Safe Key programs that would be providing computers and staff and working with to get all of the students. The goal was to get all of the North Las Vegas students with at least an e-card and that we could get them on our services. That's been, I don't want to say completely derailed, but definitely put on hold for the time being. We actually ended up having to pull that grant just because of the lack of resources and not being open and being able to run that program during the time period that we had it. So going forward, we have a very good relationship with the Parks and Recreation Department, and our full intention as we get back to normal is to work much more closely with them and especially their after-school programs to make sure that their students are taking advantage of the resources we have, at least digitally, at the library.
Thank you.
This is Trustee Reed.
Hi.
In the newspaper, they talked about how the libraries would be the overflow place for the micro schools. Do we have students using the North Las Vegas libraries as part of that program?
We do have some students at the Alexander Library. I believe there's 11 or 12 that they go to Silver Mesa in the morning for activities and breakfast, and then they come over to the Alexander Library for kind of the instructional period, and then they are bused back around 3 or 3:30 to be picked up at Silver Mesa.
Hey, thanks. Wow, it sounds like you all have been quite busy.
Yes.
You know, while not being open to the public, so a lot of great things happening. I had a question about, I know that we have the digital offerings. Are there any digital or virtual tutoring options available?
Yes, that's one of our favorite ones. We have a database called BrainFuse, and and the BrainFuse gives free live tutoring from 1 to 10 every day with a library card, and the tutors are actually that they use are certified teachers in their subjects. And funny things, I've been trying to get my own kids to use BrainFuse for the last few years, and they laugh at me and they won't use it. And now they're both, my daughter and my younger son are both in harder math classes, and they've been using BrainFuse like no tomorrow. It's a great service. So it is, like I said, it is designated between 1 and 10. But with the library card, students can use it as many times as they want, and it covers every subject up through college even.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I remember you mentioning BrainFuse quite a bit before, so I'm appreciative.
No problem. It's a great resource. Any other questions?
I was saying I'll make sure to share that resource with families who ask.
Excellent. Yeah, and the thing about it is, and I will say, and we stress, maybe because of the name, I don't know, especially the little bit older students, the young adult students, they have a very, some of them they think it's for kids or something, but it really is not. It goes literally up through college, and once they experience it, it's very, very easy to use. It's very intuitive, and it gets, and I will say it like one question they couldn't answer for my son, they had a math teacher, and they immediately switched to a different teacher that was able to answer it. So it will answer pretty much every question you have.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Anyone else? Okay. Your turn.
Next item, we'll be moving on to staff items. And we have our city clerk here. She's going to be talking about the conduct of the meeting. She's going to be going over some important things that will allow us to get through the meetings a little bit smoother, and just some things that I didn't know personally, and talk about our bylaws as well.
So thank you. This is Catherine Rayner. I'm the city clerk. And so the first thing we're trying to do here, the city clerk's office has taken over all the agenda management for all the board committees and commissions over the last about 18 months or so. And so we're trying to provide a great service to all the members of those bodies. And so one of the things that we tried and prepared for the chair tonight was not really a script, but a highlighted agenda to help to assist you, especially with a virtual meeting. And so we'll continue to do that even when it's not a virtual meeting. The next thing we wanted to talk about is, we do use Robert's Rules of Order, but we don't necessarily need to have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. If the chair sees that there's no more activity or no more discussion for the body, the chair can simply adjourn the meeting by hitting the gavel or the virtual gavel, and we can close the meeting out. The last thing that I wanted to speak to is the bylaws have not been updated in some time. There's not a terribly amount of changes that may be needed, but for example, one of the things that it says is somebody has to provide to the recording secretary by noon of Friday information if they want to speak. And the city hasn't worked on Fridays for a long time. So I would ask that maybe we put it on the agenda and staff provide some recommendation of changes, and then the board review those. And if those are something that you would support, then we could possibly make those changes. And that's all I have.
Excellent. Any comments on that? Or
Thank you.
awesome. Well, that's all we have for the agenda this evening. Sorry, board items. This is the time that I almost forgot that. This is the most important time. It's the time if you guys have any items to add or any events or anything like that. This is your time to shine.
Well, nobody has any events going on.
I'm not too sure what's going on with everybody. I think, no, nothing.
We're getting ready to have a camp out at the garden that I work at on October 17th. Overnight camp out for families. We have a large space. We're able to social distance, but we're still going to keep it to 50 or less individuals. So that will be on October 17th, and I can email that flyer to you all to share.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hearing no other items of public forum, this is a portion of the meeting devoted to the public to speak on any subject within the jurisdiction, control, or authority of the library board. After recognition by the chairman or chairwoman, please state your name and address for the record. No matter raised in public forum may be subject of deliberation or action, but may be referred to staff for action at a later date. In consideration of other citizens, we ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes and that repetition be avoided. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone?
Chair, we do not have any callers on the line nor written comments.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining our meeting. 5:42. Oh, that's my virtual gavel. It's a remote on the table.
Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Remote on the table, if you will. Have a good night, everyone.
You as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Nice talking to you guys.
Bye.
Nice talking to you all. Take